I'm very, very grateful that Hannah, is willing today to come up front and to share about her faith and her experiences. Thank you for coming up, Helen.
You're welcome.
How is the scooter going?
How's what?
How is your scooter going?
It's going as long as I keep the speed down.
And as long as you keep it charged too, the better is, I'm sure. Tell me about one challenge you faced during your lifetime. What were some of your challenges?
Well, I was thinking about this. It started before I was even born. Because in the womb, I should have been dead.
Really?
My mother contracted polio when she was pregnant with me. And according to the doctors, we both should have been dead.
Both of you?
Yes.
Your mother and you?
Right. The odds of a mother and a child living through polio, which was an epidemic in the 50s, surviving were very low.
Okay.
Especially a fetus.
Sure, sure.
A doctor was talking to my father one time, and he was relating the story. And he said, well, I'm sorry for the loss of your wife and your daughter. And he said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, they died, didn't they? He says, no. He said, you're kidding. He said, no. So God was already at work before I was even born, because he kept me alive. And Martha, right?
Margaret.
Margaret, I'm sorry, was talking that God knows us even in the womb when he's creating us. So he already knew that I was going to live.
So it is a miracle that you're alive.
Yes.
Miracle that you're alive.
Right.
How about growing up and later in life? What was it like with post-polio to grow up?
Well, it started as an infant. I was in casts from infancy up. I learned to walk with a brace and diapers. My parents taught me independence. I would fall down, and of course people would rush up to me. I was this little girl with blonde, curly hair, and of course, you know, people would rush up to help me, and my father would say, no, let her get up by herself. She would be fine. And people would go, oh my God, she fell down. Help that little girl up. Because I had a brace on my leg, and I'd get up and wipe my little hiney off, and I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. So right there, I was starting to be independent, and they allowed me to be independent. And at that time, my father and mother we always went to church, always went to Sunday school. We had a basis. They had I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. We always had a basis of Jesus in our life. We always went with Sunday school and church. My father taught Sunday school. It was the basis of our life, always.
So something about faith being rooted and grounded in that, you attribute that to where you are today, right, that carried you through it? Any
time I face adversity in my life, even as a child, which started with operations when I was 11 years old, I had to be left alone. My father was in the service, so all my surgeries were away from home, like 80, 100 miles. I was by myself a lot. My person to talk to was always God. So we had conversations. To this day, we have conversations. And there's times that we laugh together. There's times I get very angry at God. And someone told me one time, if you truly have a good relationship with someone and you love that person, you can get angry at them, that's okay. You know, that means you truly love that person, and that relationship is good. But we make up. God and I make up. And he tells me, it's okay, you can be mad at me, because it all works out. I have a purpose for you. And his purpose, I don't know what my purpose is, but I'm alive, I'm still alive. And every time I've cried to him and talked to him, he comes back to me and he says, okay, let's work on this, we'll work it out. And I said, but I don't understand why this is happening, because I've been through a lot. I've had major surgeries. I've had pain, which I still have pain. And I say, well, why are you doing this to me? And then he says, but I'm not doing this to me. Persevere. I read my Bible and it says, just trust in God. Just trust in God. And in my heart, I know that's all I need to do. And this is how I was brought up, trust in God. And that optimism has always been there. And if you saw the picture with my mother has taught me that. And her thought was that way. It's always been just trust in God. And that's how I feel. And I still feel that way. And it has brought me through everything, my trust in God. And I'm not saying that I haven't had times when I've been down and questioned God. There's no reason you can't question God. But I've always come out on top with, I see why you're doing this. And then I move on to something else. And again, I go back. Why? Why are you doing this? And sometimes this is not even him. And you look back and you say, oh, okay. And then you go on to something else.
If you ever again have a doubt why you're alive and the purpose why you are here, it's that you share about yourself and that we all can be inspired by your story, by your experience, by how deeply you trust God and how through the valley you have experienced God as the living one to carry you through. Thank you for sharing, Helen. Thank you. Love you.